When news circulated in early December of 2022 about an incident that occurred in the quiet suburb of Melody View, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, not only would the local community be in complete and utter shock, rather the whole of the United States and beyond. Several factors surrounding the alleged circumstances is what makes up this joint disbelief. As we take a closer look at today's case, you'll begin to see why that is, and just when you think you've heard it all, you haven't. Just after 7 AM on November 21st, 2022, law enforcement officials attended an address on the 7400 block of North 87th Street in Milwaukee to reports that a person had been shot dead. When they arrived, they found 44-year-old Quiana Mann unresponsive on the floor in her basement with a gunshot wound to the head. She had only moments before been doing some laundry. Police immediately cordoned the property off and began to investigate. How could this have happened to a mother in her own home in the early hours of the morning? Was this a home invasion gone wrong? Had an argument broke out and she was killed in the heat of the moment? Or could it have been something no one was expecting? Well, Quiana's 26-year-old daughter, Brianna Moore, had made the call to police. Her report to them claimed that her 10-year-old brother, who hasn't currently been named, had been talking with their mother in the basement. She went on to tell police that he told her that he'd been twirling his mother's gun around his finger when it accidentally fired, rendering her dead. This story was reiterated when police arrived, and so it looked as if maybe then this could have been case closed. After all, he was just 10 years old. Surely there could have been no other motive than that. Although in the state of Wisconsin, a 10-year-old could be tried as an adult, prosecutors may have not wanted to put the family through any more grief by putting the child through the system. And so initially it looked as if they may not have wanted to press any charges. After all, he was allowed to stay at home and was never arrested. But ladies and gentlemen, this isn't where the story ends. You see, the following day, his aunt, Sharonda Reed, collected him from his house to stay with her for a while. Wanting to lock the house up, she asked him where the keys were, so he retrieved a set from his bedroom. When Sharonda looked at the set of keys, she noticed a small key on the keyring that was for Quiana's gun lock box. On a hunch, Sharonda questioned her nephew about his version of events, and it was then an altered story emerged. "I aimed the gun at Mum. While doing so, she said, 'Why do you have that? Put that down.'" It's not exactly clear as to why Sharonda didn't immediately contact police, instead opting to take her nephew back to her home address. Within a day or so, reports claim that the boy attacked Sharonda's son, his cousin. It was that violent he had to be forcefully removed. Concerned that he could lash out again, the boy was taken to his grandmother's home, where he was to meet with child welfare workers. When he arrived, his grandmother was visibly distressed. She'd been continuously crying. Without showing 1 ounce of empathy or compassion, the boy approached his grandma, Quiana Mann. "I'm really sorry for what happened. I'm sorry for killing Mom. Has my virtual reality headset arrived from Amazon yet?" Confused as to what the boy was referring to, his aunt and sister logged into his mother's Amazon account, and it was here a $500 virtual reality headset had been purchased by none other than the young boy. It was then Sharonda decided to contact the police to explain that something more sinister may have occurred in the death of her sister. This time around, the boy was placed under arrest and was questioned once more about his version of events. "My mom wouldn't allow me to buy a virtual reality headset from Amazon, so I'd been annoyed with her. The night before the shooting, I decided to take her keys from her and hide them. When she woke me up at 6 AM instead of 6:30 AM, she annoyed me more. So I took the gun, went to the basement, and shot her. It wasn't an accident. I was standing in a shooting stance. Before I shot her, she said, 'Why do you have that? Put that down.'" She was approximately 3 feet away from her son. The bullet entered through her right eye, traveled through her brain, and then fragments exited out from the back of her head. The 10-year-old boy has since gone on to be charged as an adult with first-degree reckless homicide, which in the state of Wisconsin carries a 60-year prison sentence, although this could be reduced to 40 years under certain circumstances. His bail currently sits at around $50,000, but at this moment in time, he's still sitting in jail. The boy's lawyer, along with his grandmother, have spoken out about previous incidents leading up to this and how the boy's mental health may have played a role in the shooting. According to them, for years he had told family that he heard 5 voices in his head. He described those as 2 sisters, 1 older woman, and 2 mean men. The voices were most active in the early hours, which meant that he struggled to sleep. His grandma believes that the voices would have been most active at around the time of the shooting. These voices have led the young boy to exhibit disturbing behaviors in the past. In one incident, he allegedly swung the family puppy around by its tail, and only this year he filled a balloon with flammable liquid and set it on fire, causing an explosion that burned furniture and the carpet. When he was asked why he did it, he said the sisters told him to. A serious concussion at the age of 8 was said to have led to his mental health spiraling out of control, not being able to pick up on emotions but would cry and manipulate people. What should be noted though is that the voices came before this concussion. This information hasn't just emerged, however. You see, his own mother was fully aware of what was going on. She took him to see medical professionals, and his school would give daily reports, but it was a struggle to stabilize him. As it stands right now, again, the boy is still currently locked up, but his grandma hopes that the judge will release him on an ankle monitor until further court hearings. The boy's next court hearing, I do believe, a bail hearing, is the 7th of December 2022.